All right, so we are live now. Hey everyone, all of you who have joined us for this webinar, are you able to hear me? Just quick revert on the chat section, please. All right. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today for this webinar. Introduction about me. My name is Rashmi. I'm a community specialist with Designhill, which is one of the largest graphic design platform for designers, wherein you can find one of the best design jobs there. So if you haven't checked out our website, please go after the session, after the webinar, and do check it out. I'll share the link with you. You will see that on the screen itself. Today we have Ryan with us, who is the speaker for today, and he'll be taking up a session on how to strategically structure your logo presentation. So thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today, and we really appreciate all of your time and efforts for this. Also, quickly, I'll take you through the format of the webinar that we are going to do today. We have few sections on the Slidestorm platform for you. In the chat section, of course, I see you guys are already responding to this section. We have a questions tab right next to chat section, wherein if you have any questions while Ryan is talking about taking any topic ahead, and if you have any questions with respect to that, please go to the questions tab and put down your questions there. In between, you might see few polls coming in for you for us to understand how the session is going and everything. So do respond to that as well. And we really hope that you will enjoy the session and stay with us till the end. All right. So I think without wasting further time, we should start the session. Ryan, the stage is all yours. Please take it forward.
100%. Thank you. Before we start, can everybody hear me all right? Is my audio, video looking good? I know that Rashmi looks a little bit lower video quality apparently, but if I'm good, I think we'll be right. 2 big thumbs up. Awesome. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you guys and we can jump straight into it. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to sharing some knowledge. If you have any questions, please let me know. But apart from that, awesome. All right, can you guys see my screen? Just let me know if you can see this beautiful screen design. Sounds good, perfect. All right, let me know in the comments if you guys have heard of Pitchproof before and how you found out about this webinar. I'm super interested to find out. And maybe a little quick thing about you so I can read some comments later. All right, let's get started. So as Rashmi said before, I really do want to welcome you guys to this webinar. There's not a lot of content out there about structuring your logo presentation. So I feel like the information I'm going to provide to you, even in this short amount of time, is going to be so valuable to a lot of you. And I feel like you'll get a lot of knowledge out of this. So I'm super excited to share with you what we've learned over the last, 12 months of running Pitchproof and over the number of years I've been designing. So a little bit about me. I'm Ryan Hayward. I'm a freelance graphic designer and CEO and founder of Pitchproof. My work has been featured on some of the biggest pages on Instagram. We also work at Pitchproof with these pages, such as Logo Inspirations, We Love Branding, Logo Place, Connor Fowler, at Bammy Brands, Blessed Creatics, just to name a few. We work with an amazing number of awesome people who also have amazing audiences. So that's super exciting. Yeah, so like I said, I'm a freelance graphic designer and the CEO and founder of Pitchproof, which I'll get into in just a second. Other little cool things about me. My favorite sport is tennis. Love a bit of tennis. I got started as a freelance graphic designer almost 4 years ago. I started by entering design contests online, started to win a few of those. I thought, hey, I might be not too shabby at this, so I built myself a website, and then it kind of just took off from there. So that's kind of how I kickstarted my career of being a freelance graphic designer. So as a freelance graphic designer, I worked a lot with internet startups, developing branding, UI, business cards, websites, you name it, I've probably done it. Explainer videos, that includes animation and illustrations. But what I focus on is UI and user experience, as well as branding. And then there's Pitchproof, which is like my main adventure at the moment. So Pitchproof is an online platform allowing designers to create interactive logo presentations. So basically what that means is we get rid of PDF presentations simply because of 3 reasons. 1, PDFs are not mobile responsive. And over 70% of emails are read on your phone, which means chances are your client, your design client, is reading an email on their phone, which means that PDF presentation that you're sending to them is on their phone. So it's like really small, it's really hard, you have to like zoom in, it's just a horrible experience for the client. So that was one of the main reasons we started Pitchproof. Also too, if you have a 50-page, PDF document, which is sometimes what these logo presentations can get up to, it's really annoying and frustrating to scroll up and down just to like compare concepts. So that was another reason we started Pitchproof. And the third reason on why we hate PDFs is because it's just a little bit out of date, I feel. Everything has to be static. There's a lot of different things that could be improved with PDFs that we can probably get into another time. But just overall, we're not a huge fan of PDFs for logo presentations. So we built a solution for that. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty stuff. Let's talk about logo presentations. I'm super excited to talk about this. If you don't know what a logo presentation is, basically it's where you present your work to the client, where you pitch your work to the client. So you've gone through, you've done some concepts with the client. Now you actually got to show the client and you've got to sell your work to the client. So basically what I want to do to start off with, I want to show you guys and run you through how I would personally structure a logo presentation. So let's get started. So what to include in your logo presentation? I'm going to go over these briefly. At the end of this, we're going to do some questions. So if you have any questions, write them in chat, but maybe just hold off on them for a couple of minutes. All right, so number 1 would be to start with an overview. So I want you to summarize the brief, outline the project objectives, maybe give a rundown on the problem you're trying to solve, which also runs into number 2. So these 2 you can almost merge together into 1 page, or if you want to be fancy, make them 2 pages. But basically remind the client on why they're getting a logo design. There's always a specific reason, and normally the reason is they've got a problem that needs to be solved. So yeah, remind them of what you're trying to solve. Number 3, and this is the biggie, you got to feature your work. Now, don't just send the logo files to the client and go, here, pick A, B, or C. You need to present them. You need to literally pitch. You need to sell your work to the client. You can't just go, oh, here you go, pick a design. It doesn't really work like this. This isn't $1 Million Minute or one of those game shows. The client is working with you. They want to see what you've done and how you've done it, and why a particular concept is going to work for your brand. So I highly, highly recommend using mockups for this. Show real life examples and context on how the design will actually work in the real world. Next up, I would continue to go through and highlight the typeface. So basically what this means is show what fonts you're using. Show why you're choosing these fonts. If you're going to use a serif font, indicate to the client why you chose a serif font. If you're going to use a sans serif font, indicate to the client why you're choosing that font. If you want to use Comic Sans for some reason, highly don't recommend. But for some reason, if you want to use Comic Sans, indicate to the client why you want to use Comic Sans. Everything in your logo presentation should be transparent, and you should be showing the client all the decisions you've made to get up to this point. Because at the end of the day, you know, the logo concept you present might have only taken 5 minutes to make, in a sense, but you've put in 6 hours of exploration before that. And you need to show the client all the steps you've taken to get to that place. Next off would be showing off the colors. So similar to showing off the typography, you want to show off the colors and the reasoning you've chosen those colors. So if you've chosen red, what does that represent? If you've chosen blue, what does that represent? If you've chosen yellow, what does that represent? You need to indicate to the client why you've chosen those colors. And a handy little tip is if you're trying to refer it back to the brief. So if the client in the brief recommends that their attributes are, we're fast paced, we're vibrant, we're bold, then maybe use a red color palette and use some of those keywords that they've stated in the brief and link them back to the colors. This is a nice little way to sell the design to the client. Up next is asking targeted questions. I see so many mistakes on this, and it's kind of frustrating sometimes. So don't just end your logo presentation with, so what do you think? What logo design do you want? You should be asking targeted questions, because otherwise you're just going to get generalized feedback, and feedback that isn't really going to help you progress quickly. If you just ask, if a client comes back to you and goes, hey, I like this one, or I don't like this one, like, why don't they like that one? You need to find out why. So what we're going to do now, I want to ask you guys if you have any questions about the previous slides. I'm happy to answer a few now. And also in the comments, please have a guess on what type of targeted questions you think you should be asking your client at the end of the presentation. I'm going to run through some of them in a second, but please let me know some questions and what you think is some good targeted questions. All right, we have a question coming in from Riley. I usually don't show color until further around since it's so subjective. What do you think about this? I actually agree with you on this one. And again, I included this because it needs to be there. And again, it can depend on who your client is. The reason I wouldn't show color options in the first initial concept rounds. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt in between, but just a suggestion here. We have an option of start live answer just below the question, so that people understand which question you are answering to. So if you are answering any of the question, you can click start answering the question.
For sure, yeah. It's just that we'll have to switch back and forth between screens, and that might be a little bit annoying for the users and the watchers. So if it's all right with you, I can just answer these as I see them on my external monitor here. And then if you're willing to rush me, you can just do that for me so everybody at home can see what we're talking about. All right, but back to your question real quick, Riley. Let's recap. I usually don't show color until the further rounds since it's so subjective. What do you think about this? Yes, I agree. Like I said, depends on the rounds. It still should be included at some point. But if you're going to send the first round of logo concepts to the client, don't include color, because you should be focusing on the idea. If you send color logo design to the client for the first round, they might just be focusing on the color, and they might not choose a particular concept because they just don't like that color, even though that concept is best for their business. All right, we've got a few more questions. Nazma, 3 questions. Let's do it. Why did you decide to jump into graphic design? That's a great question. I guess it's always been a bit of a natural step for me. Always liked technology as a kid. Always liked creating stuff, drawing. And then I kind of just started to play around with Photoshop, and merging those two things together formed digital design for me. Now I started posting stuff online, and like I said before, entering freelance logo design contests, and then started to win a few of those. And that kind of made me jump into making my career into graphic design. Question number 2, what's the inspiration behind this? Not 100% sure of what you mean, but I guess the whole inspiration behind the webinar is that we run a platform called Pitchproof, which is a tool for designers to create interactive logo presentations. Check it out, use pitchproof.com. I'll check that in a chat shortly. But I guess that's the whole inspiration, because there isn't a lot of resources out there to learn about how to build your logo presentation. So we really want to change this. So if you check out our Instagram account at @usepitchproof, you can see that we put out a lot of educational content out there, especially recently, because we want to start educating designers on how to build their logo presentations. And question number 3 from you, any special notes or motivation behind this? I think that kind of answered that last question there. Again, it's just us wanting to provide as much value to you guys as possible. All right, I reckon we'll jump into the next part now, which is what questions do I actually ask? So I can see you guys have put a few in the chat here. I'm going to send you I'm going to show you guys some recommendations of what questions you might want to ask. Let's do it. So the key here is to be specific. So don't ask generalized questions. Don't go, oh, do you like concept 1? Do you like concept 2? Be super specific. Ask questions like, what is memorable about the design? What could be removed to make this more simple? You know, sometimes less is more, and you want to translate this to the client. What features are missing that are necessary? You know, the client might not like something because they feel like a hammer needs to be in the design because they're, you know, a construction business and they need something a little bit more literal rather than abstract. What is clear or confusing? Maybe they don't understand something. Maybe that's why they don't like the logo. So instead of just getting, oh, I don't like this one, let's try something else, you understand and you unpacked a little bit deeper on why they don't like that logo. What problems do you think the design solves? This is a big one, relating back to step 2 of how to structure your logo presentation, that first course that we did. It's all about figuring out the problem you're solving. So if you can, I think a lot of times when a freelance designer gets a client coming to them, it's just because, you know, they're a new business and they feel they need a logo, but they don't actually understand why they need a logo. So if you can figure out the client's problem of why they need a logo and indicate that to them, they're going to be a lot more willing to put more time and effort into the project. So again, if you've got any questions about that, please let me know in chat. And then we'll move on to the next step. What we got here? I'll see if there's anything else popping up. What's the steps when you follow? What's the steps you follow when you're stuck in your project? Says Asna. So I'm going to take that as, you know, if the client's slow and you're not really getting anywhere with the client, again, it comes back to asking targeted feedback. And also a quick side note, in your contract that you set up with the client before you begin the project, set a number of concept rounds, like a total number of concept rounds. So you might go, all right, well, I'm going to provide 3 concept rounds. Any more concept rounds you want after this, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. Same with revisions. You know, say you're going to provide up to 3 revision rounds. If they want more, they have to pay specifically for it. So I guess that in a way will encourage the design and encourage the client to, you know, make the design process shorter for you. And again, ask targeted feedback. That will also shorten the design process. All right, what else? When to leave more white space around actual design so it pops out more, and when to be supportive of mock-up types, blah, blah, blah. All right, so how I see this is I would do both. So when you present your design to a client, I would have it on a white background, your colored background, just your standard stock things, but also then provide that context and application, which is mockups. So show it on a billboard if it's going to be, if they're a bigger company. You know, if they're a local dry cleaning business, show it on the side of a van, because that might be a place where the client might use that logo. So the more you can indicate and represent visually to the client of how the logo can actually be used, the better. Do you apply down of payment before working for clients? Yes and no. It depends on the client. Normally you would, yes, but if you've got your contract sort up properly, it shouldn't be a problem. But I would still get a down payment, make it 50%. That's just the general rule of thumb. That's what I would recommend, yeah. But again, it can really depend on your client. How to actually influence the client to induce the client to purchase if he likes the design. So I'm going to take that as, how do you sell the design you want most to the client? So basically put it number one for starters. If you've got 3 concepts, put it number one and really highlight why that one works over the other ones. But look, at the end of the day, whatever you present, you need to be happy with. So if you want them to pick number one, don't present number 2 and 3 if you're not happy with them.
Ryan, can you click on Start Live Answer button while answering the question, please? Thanks.
Can we? Yes. Questions? Great. I see some general comments in here as well. Let's save those to the end, and then I'll go down and just answer as many as possible. For Nazman asking, if you don't mind, can you show us how Pitchproof works? Can you show us a demo? Yes, coming up very, very soon. Ooh, my page has said it's unresponsive. That's fantastic. All right, can you still hear me? Am I still good? Yes, awesome. All right, I'm going to jump back because my page just said it was non-responsive, so I feel like if I restart it, it's just going to quit on me. Try it again. You know what they say, 3rd time's a charm. All right, let me know if you guys can see my screen again. Yes, awesome. We got it. All right, so like I was saying, try not to present your work in a PDF. I know it's a very common thing to do, and that's why at Pitchproof we're trying to step out from that. But yeah, before I continue, guys, if this drops out again or you're having any troubles, just let me know. What I will be doing is making sure there's a better high quality webinar video going up sometime in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to record one myself and give it out to you guys. So there's definitely a lot that I'm going to jump into further down the track, shortly down the track, so you can retain all this knowledge. Number 3, not asking targeted questions, as we covered it before, guys. This is a massive common mistake made. Make sure you ask common questions. Number four, not thinking about the experience. So you need to think about, all right, I'm going to present my work, but how's the presentation actually going to look? You want your client to have a good experience. So whether that be the experience be on their phone, how's it going to look on their phone? How's it going to look on a desktop? How's it going to look on a TV? Understanding how the client's actually going to view it and the overall experience they're going to have is extremely important for selling your designs. Number 5, not referring back to the brief. Again, as we covered before, state the project outline, state the problem you're trying to solve, refer back and remind the client why they're actually here and why they hired you in the first place. All right, I reckon what we're going to do now is to jump into an example presentation that I've already built in our Pitchproof platform, give you guys a bit of a run through on that and show you some really cool. Do it. All right, fantastic. So this is the Pitchproof platform. So as you can see here, inside your presentation editor, you have your home section where you can edit all your details. You can add your brief. We can also rename this to project overview or anything we want, fully customizable. You can add your concepts, drag and drop in here, have many concepts as you want. You can showcase your context, those real life examples, those mock-ups. You can sell your clients your design with text over here, easily upload your icons and rescale them. Level 3 concepts. And with Pitchproof, guys, because it's a web app, so you present your work in a logo presentation that's shared almost as a website. So the client, it has a website URL, so that means it's automatically mobile responsive. So it doesn't matter if you view it on a mobile screen, a TV, a desktop, an iPad, wherever you view it, it will be the best presentation possible experience for that device. We also have typography, as we mentioned before. This is very important, and showing to the client why it's important. So you can upload a typography file, so whether that be a TTF, you know, whatever font file you want, and then it will automatically create a preview and a thumbnail like this that you can share with the client. So these, you know, this isn't an image I've created. This is just a text file I've uploaded, and then our software automatically creates a preview for you. And then also you can add your color palettes simply by using CMYK hex, which is also RGB. So there's a whole bunch of different options for adding color palettes. And you can obviously give it a title and description. We can preview our presentation. We can even have feedback sent to us within the presentation. So if we go to use Pitchproof website real quick, and if we go to example, this is the example presentation live. So this is how a client would view it from the design ends. So if I go to feedback here, this would be the last slide. The client can actually choose a design. So if they want to move forward with the design, this is a nice call to action to make it super clear which design they want to move forward with. And of course, if there's none of those that they want to move forward with, they can choose it. And they can also write their comments here. Now, some cool features we're building with Pitchproof at the moment is to, one, build presentations however you want. So that means custom CMS. You can literally drag and drop components, so you can build your page however you want. And also targeted feedback, so you can outline what questions you want answered, and then in the question panel here, the client can answer that just like a questionnaire form. So that's our Pitchproof platform in a nutshell. You can check it out, use pitchproof.com. We have some super duper exciting things coming. So make sure, just try it out. Be on our mailing list, because there's a lot of amazing things coming, including a course that we're excited to announce on building the ultimate logo presentation. This will be us going into depth on how to build the ultimate presentation. So today we're only barely scratching the surface. We're going to go deep. We're going to go to the bottom of the earth on logo presentations. It's going to be amazing. But I want to get back now to some Q&A questions. If you have any questions for me, please, let's answer them right now. Let's do it. I'm keen. How can we share the presentation with Designhill contest? That probably isn't one of mine to answer. That would be a question for Rashmi. I'm not sure if it's applicable within the Designhill platform, but it would be something super cool. So maybe in the near future. I'll see if I can load these questions up again. See if they're actually loading this time. Loading questions. All right, we might just have to rely on chat. That's fun, isn't it? Well, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name. Farrell Rahimi says, hello, how do you define a time spent on a logo design process? Great question. I basically track all my time. So I work in a set price rate for my design projects, because it's a little bit better than working an hourly rate, but to also figure out that set price, you need to figure out what your hourly rate is. But I basically track all my hours that I use on a project with a cool program called Toggle. So this allows me to track all my hours, figure out how much I should be being paid for those hours. So if I spent 8 hours on a project, I can work out that I need to be paid $400 for it, and vice versa. Can we export the design into PDF? With Pitchproof, you cannot, simply because we want to move away from the whole PDF thing. This has been a feature that's been asked a number of times, and we have considered it, except our whole idea and initiative for starting Pitchproof is to get rid of PDFs, because simply we don't like them for logo presentations. So we kind of want to get rid of them. Any specific details should be kept in mind while designing. Less is more, I guess. Less is more. That's normally a key one. Again, check out our Instagram page at Use Pitchproof. There's a bunch of different tips. We put out daily content on there. I feel like you'd find a lot of value out of it. Things about designing, freelancing, running a business, building logo presentations. It's a really great place to learn. Yeah, so basically, how do you share your work? So I'll show you this one. I think I've already disconnected. So basically, to share your presentation, you can either send the link directly to the client, so with a URL, or you can actually send them an email with your branding on it that you can send within platform that gives them a nice little call to action button to check out the logo presentation. Is it possible to shortly describe how to make a ready-made logo template for Designhill and properly submit it? Again, that's probably not one that I can answer. Definitely one for Rashmi to answer. Are there any more varieties for backgrounds? I would say when you're presenting your work, try to show as many varieties as possible, to show that it's versatile and that it's, what's the word I'm looking for? That it can be used in multiple scenarios. So show it on a white background, show it on a black background, show it as a silhouette, show it on a, if your color palette is red, blue, and green, show it on those colored backgrounds. Try to show it on as many colored backgrounds as possible that is still aligned to the color palette. All right. What else? Please let me know if you have any more questions. I probably have another 5 minutes and we might wrap this one up. I know there's a little bit laggy. Sorry for that one, guys, but definitely keep in touch with me on our Instagram at Use Pitchproof. We will be doing a more in-depth webinar in the future, as well as providing a logo design, a logo presentation course for you guys. As a beginner, can you recommend some tutorials or platforms for logo designing? Yes, I think Logo Core has a really cool course. It is paid, but definitely just go on YouTube and just search logo design tutorials. There's a bunch of cool stuff out there by people like Will Patterson, Zimri, I can't remember his last name. Ransagel is an awesome designer you should check out, especially for running a business. The Future is another amazing platform. And then shortly but soon, check out our logo presentation course that we're going to be dropping hopefully within the next few weeks for a pre-launch and a month or so for the actual launch. So keep an eye out for that on our Instagram accounts. What is your preference about normal graphic designers or UI designers? Again, I can't say I have a preference, simply because I use both. I am both. If I had to choose one, I'd probably categorize myself as a graphic designer just because it's a little bit more broader, and you can work on a few more projects. But if you're like getting started or something, just categorize yourself as a UI designer if that's what you want to do. You have to be self-aware on what you want to do. So I guess UI is more web and app type of base type of thing. So if they're the projects you want to work on, call yourself a UI designer. How can we create variations on our logos? Great question. Again, try things on different colored backgrounds. Figure out how the logo is going to be worked. So if it's going to work on a t-shirt, what color logo does what color does the logo need to be? So if you look at Rashmi's shirt, she's got a blue shirt on with a white logo. So obviously blue and white would be the color variation there. I reckon we'll take a couple more. Please answer your questions. Drop your questions below, and then we'll wrap this one up. What's your preference? If we have a scenario that a client changes his or her brief at the last minute, I would say it depends on how much has changed. If they go, all right, we're completely rechanging the way we think about our company, so you're basically going to have to start from scratch, I would say no, it's going to charge more. So basically, make sure you have all the legal agreements down at the start of the project, so then they can't question it. That's extremely important. Yeah. At Rashmi, you guys should definitely consider hosting the webinars on a different platform. Not happy with the connection issue. Yeah, I think Livestorm has some awesome features. I think their server issues need to be fixed a little bit, because it's definitely, I would probably say it's their servers and not my internet or Rashmi's. So that's something to consider for Designhill. How much do you price logo design approx? For me personally, it would probably be starting at 500 United States dollars, even though I'm Australian, just to give you an idea, 500 USD, and ranging up to probably 2000 USD. How many variations in logo design should we present to the client? Great question. Again, as many as you think is applicable for that, to sell that client, to sell that design to the client. What about UI designer or normal designer? Well, if you just call yourself a designer, that could be basically anything. That could be interior design, that could be architectural design, that could be typography designer. Like, if you're just going to call yourself a designer, be more specific. That would be my tip for you. What color and font you prefer? Again, it depends on the project. There's not one, color that I prefer or font that I prefer. We really like the font HK Nova. We use that for all our Pitchproof stuff. That's probably one of my favorite fonts at the moment in terms of a color. Blue's an alright color, I guess. Again, it really depends on what you're working on. Any suggestion on shape or minimalism? If you want to create minimalist logos, less is more. Figure out what information you need to put into the logo, and then do all that, and then just start eliminating things and making it more simple and more simple without losing any of that original value. Awesome, Mohammed. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. All right, I reckon we'll take one more question, then we'll finish this one up. It's getting late here in Australia. 10:30 p.m. Hustling to give value to you guys. All right. Feel like how to change the mentality of a stubborn client from big, cluttery, Times New Roman type of logo and the modern or classic retro kind of clean logos, even though they with the explanations about the modern types. Let me just read that one again. How to change the mentality of a stubborn client. Yeah, so how I read this is that, a client really wants something, they really want it bad. And you might not agree with that, but I think, again, it's establishing that relationship with the client. But at the end of the day, if they're paying you to do something, like, do it, I guess. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. There's no point, dragging that logo design project out for another 10, 12 days when you can shorten it in an extra 10, 12 hours, So again, it comes down to self-awareness. Last question, what do you think about generic logo designs? Every logo should be unique. So generic logo designs, say if you've got a architecture business and your logo just features a house, yeah, it's a little bit boring. It can be a little bit boring, and you have to be careful with all that. And that's why I really like brands that are putting themselves out there, like Slack and MailChimp and all these cool brands. They're not just they're still simple logos, but they're not at the stage where it's just generic. Yeah. How to present my design on portfolio, like Behance, Dribble, etc. Again, mockups, show context, show value, and document the process. This is another cool one. If you want to post work on Instagram and try to start building a following on social media, document the process because you can create more value from that. How do we keep up with the logo design trends? Don't. That would be my tip. If you're going to design a logo should work for an eternity, not just a year. So I feel like if you're just doing logo design trends, even though they might seem trendy, it might not work for the client and it might not last the client very long. So figure out what is actually timeless in design rather than what's actually trending in design. What platforms do you use? So I used to use No None Designs for design contests and whatnot. Then I stopped using that one. So basically for all my client work, I get clients through referrals and marketing myself on social media, SEO. But again, it's just word of mouth. Word of mouth is key. Hey Ryan, can you tell where to post our portfolios for more projects? Dribble is an amazing platform. I remember I did 1 week of hard Dribble posting, which was 3 posts per day. And from that, I gained 5 awesome leads, just within the first few days. So definitely Dribble and do that consistently and get yourself trending on there. You might ask, best way to advertise and market your work, social media. It's the way to go. We love it. Instagram, especially, is dominating at the moment. Dribble, a big fan of as well. And start looking at new platforms and platforms that are starting to uprise, such as LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I feel, will be a massive resource for logo designers trying to find clients. So definitely take a look on that further. All right, one more, then we've got to go. Who's going to get the last one? People are typing. Last question. How many mock-ups can we use in our logo presentation without irritating the client? What's the maximum number of presentations? I would say if you're going to present a concept, I reckon 5's a good number. I think 5 seems like a pretty standard number. It's not something too long. They don't have to, look through a 10-minute slideshow. 5's probably a good number to work with. Last one, because I did see this pop up before. How many changes you allow the customer for free? 0. So write it into your contract that I'll do 3 rounds of logo revisions or something like that, and then any more is going to cost. You just need to be straightforward with them. If they're a long-lasting client and they just want the smallest little change, you know they're not going to, and they don't constantly do it, sure, do it. Maintain that healthy relationship with the client. All right, awesome, fantastic. All right, we're going to finish it up there, guys. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today with Rashmi and I. Big thanks to Designhill for hosting this. Hopefully we can have a little less laggy experience next time. The other thing I want to just plug myself real quickly. If you want to follow me and Randy personally, it's at Ryan Hayward. At CHERYANHAYWARD. Follow our Instagram at Use Pitchproof and check out usepitchproof.com to build the best logo presentation ever.
There's a question from one of the attendees. He's asking that where do you get the inspiration to design these logo presentations? Because he, being a beginner and a fresher in this industry, he would want to know about it. So he has this question about where do you get the inspiration from? I think we didn't answer this question.
So inspiration for building your logo presentation and how to structure your logo presentation is by just watching and, you know, viewing other people's logo presentations. So I can't tell you the number of people I've reached out to over the years asking just to view and learn about how they present their work. You know, I used to email that many agencies and that many freelance designers and ask them just specifically, how do you present your work? Can I see an example? And literally that's how I learned about building logo presentations. Awesome. I'm going to drop some call to actions into chat so you guys can follow us. Follow us for awesome content. Follow Instagram.com/pitchproof. All right, sending call to action.
Somebody's
Here we go. It should be on the screen now. Follow us. Rashmi, over to you now. Thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for attending. This was helpful. We will have the recording of this video on the YouTube channel of Designhill. So stay tuned there, and we'll have more session coming up. You will soon receive a feedback form from us to fill that out. And stay tuned for more such events from Designhill. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Ryan, for your time, and hope you all enjoyed it.
No worries at all. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have been amazing. And yeah, let's stay in touch. Reach out to me at any point via email, via Instagram DM. Always happy to have a chat. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.